Greetings, everyone, to a PCP mini. This is an impulsive, spur-of-the-moment topic that we came up with because we were talking about it so much in the chat, and I felt it needed to be hashed out verbally between at least a couple of us. The subject is analysis worth existing? Should we even be doing it? This isn't like a highfalutin, what is the value of the medium, like that one podcast we had, which was utterly miserably terrible. This one is specifically about us and whether or not it's something worthwhile for us to pursue in our lives, whether as consumers or as creators of the subject of analysis. Now, if you look at Urban Dictionary, the definition is... anal cis, that's it. There's no Urban Dictionary on the word analysis. Let's move on. Oh, yeah, with me is Nate and Mumkey and Ben and me, the Vu. No introductions. So anyway, here we go. Nate, you start with your opinion of analysis.
Okay. Well,
first, can we give some context as to why we were having this discussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's because our good buddy Nate just put up probably the best video of all time, where he's doing an analysis.
According to Reddit, it's the greatest
Nate
video
is the
of
number
all time.
one post on r/anime as of, I guess, last night and this morning.
As of this morning, it's fallen a little bit down now, but it got over 3,200 upvotes, so not bad.
And you got like 2,000 subs overnight, which is fucking phenomenal.
Over 2,000 subs,
Damn.
and it's got like around 40,000 views now or so.
So our good buddy
good.
Nate, we're all proud of him because he made this successful analysis video and it's blowing up. But then, oh brother, my brother, guess who comes in to pull the rug out from under him?
I felt bad griping, but now that I know how successful it's been, I don't care anymore, and I don't feel bad anymore.
You say that, but I feel like if this... I feel like everyone's really jumping the gun on my breakout success a little bit. This is like one video with like, it's probably, maybe it'll climb to like 50,000 views. That is like not even that good.
Nate,
it's like pretty decent.
This is Ben Class Warfare Saint you're talking to. I don't think he's going to give you much lenience.
Yeah, okay. All right, fair enough. I shouldn't complain. I'm happy to that it's getting the attention that it does. Well, yeah, so I mean, I'm glad about that. I've got my own feelings about that video in particular, but I'm more interested in the general subject at hand. So, like David was saying, when it comes to analysis videos, there are really two ways to think about it from our side of the spectrum, the autism spectrum.
Yep, we're all
that's
on it.
and so there's like the first of all like the value as art pieces, or I would call like the societal value of like creating something like that to begin with. And then there's just like the commercial value, like if you're going to be able to survive making that kind of thing. And there's always going to be a balance between those two things. And so like this video, for example, I feel like the funny thing about it is it's very similar to other videos I've made. Like it really reminds me of the One Punch Man one, and that video did pretty well actually. But like the way that I branded this one was different and was like a little bit more skewed to like what I've come to understand as like the YouTube success formula, which is just like thumbnail, just a big picture of Galco's face. It's like my favorite frame from the whole thing.
Yep.
And then the name of the thing, the name is like, it's like a thought, like understand, I'm forgetting what it was, like something about
defying stereotypes.
Yes. In Oshiete Galco-chan. Yeah, that's right. So yeah,
people love progressive shit like that.
They do, even though it's really not a very progressive message. I guess it kind of is. Whatever. It doesn't matter. But the point is, like, there is no more intellectual content if you put, like, that more kind of marketing angle to it. Like, my instinct would have been just to call it, like, best anime ever, Oshiete Galco-chan. Because I think about doing these things as, like, episodes in my, like, TV show that is best anime ever, or, like, the best blank ever, whatever series. That's how I think about it. But like with the way things are going, that just doesn't work right now. So in this particular case, I didn't have to actually like really think about how to like change the content of the video so as to like be most rewarded on YouTube.
You can always put it out there with a YouTube-y name, let it get that initial view surge, and then just change it later.
That's true. I mean, I've actually been pretty comfortable with the way this is named. I don't really mind it at all. I kind of like leading with like, I like leading with the idea that's going to be presented in there, and I'm that's totally fine. But I do feel resistance to like going back and changing old video names, like the One Punch Man changed to Saitama's a big fuckboy. I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Well,
it's not wrong.
But but like I do think that because like to me the most important thing about making a video is like having the idea of what you're going to make in the first place, and really that's where like the big decisions are made, at least for me. So I mean I was happy to make this Galco video because it is like perfectly fit for YouTube. It's just over 10 minutes long, which means I could put an ad at the end of the video, so I was totally aware of that fact while making it. And like the fact that I made this and didn't work on one of the many other projects that I've got, just like written and waiting to go, like it's the framing, it's that like the commercialization and the ability to survive and to make money, like that did control to some extent like what I chose to make as this current product, as opposed to like another, like I'd love to make like a big analysis of like Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, like as like a sequel to the thing, but I'm not going to do that anytime soon because it's not as viable. I don't. My interest in the concept of an analysis or even a review is at like an all-time low right now. Maybe not all time, but certainly it's gone down consistently for like the last 6 months after like me being really obsessed with it for like 2 years. And now my default reaction to any analysis is just who cares, like any video that is a review, it's like a steep uphill battle on its part to get me to going, wow, this is valid. I've become very like burned out, and I feel like I've heard all the things, like. Yeah.
Like, do you think that you're burned out because you spend hours each week editing these types of videos for Digi?
Yeah, I do believe that isn't, the insiderness of it is absolutely that. I'm looking at my sub feed right now. It's like, do stories ruin spoilers? Super Bunny High Patch Wolf? I'm just like, I don't even, like, I don't know. Yeah. Do I want to know? Maybe it would be best if I just go the rest of my life never knowing if spoilers ruin stories.
You know what that video is going to be before you even watch it. It's going to be him. He's going to go on a long thing. Most of it will be superfluous. Maybe there'll be some jokes or something, and the point will be that you can enjoy a thing even if you're spoiled on it. Rewatches, da 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 da. It's all shit we've heard before. I'm right with you. I'm right with you, Devu. I feel like I've heard everything, and I feel like it's so fucking rare. It's so fucking rare for someone on YouTube to say a thing that I've never heard before, and it just makes me feel like, what's the point?
Okay, let me. I've got.
Why even watch videos anymore?
This is something I've been thinking about for a while now, and it's that that we are, in fact, no longer the target audience for YouTube, including the content we make.
Indeed.
The target audience is, like, people new to analysis and new to YouTube. Like, at this point, like, I'm not going to say the name, but I'm reading a book that is about a lot of the stuff that I think about, like, as a consequence of all the anime I've consumed.
The Fountainhead.
No, that one's in the can, my friend. No,
the Autism Spectrum Diagnosis booklet.
Basically, yeah.
The Triflers by Mumkey Jones, available on
you guessed it, buddy. You guessed it. That is literally sitting on my desk right in front of me right now.
Do you use it as a coaster?
Actually, it is my little cloud from Kingdom Hearts. He's sitting on it, so it's his little table.
Oh, that's cute.
Isn't that cute?
I'm glad it was put to some use in the Nate household.
It's there to remind me to read it as soon as I have a free moment.
Now, you already bought it. I don't care if you read it.
Exactly.
I just wanted you $5.
You got it, dude. Where was I going with that? I was just saying that I feel like for guys like us, we're kind of, like Ben was saying, I also feel like I've basically learned everything there is to learn. Like, what did these YouTubers, like, what is their skill set that they have, like, delved into and, like, cultivated on YouTube? Like,
that is the thing.
Right?
There's nothing.
There's nothing.
There's literally nothing separating a YouTuber from me. There's nothing
one
there.
Thing, Ben,
except
there's one crucial thing, and it is editing ability. It is editing ability. That's the only.
Well,
that's what puts people like Captain Christian over the top. That's
Captain
what does
Christian is the absolute fucking nadir of human civilization.
Oh, well, he's just
Captain
very...
Christian just fucking typifies everything that is wrong. Which is that you can just regurgitate information, dress it up in like a pleasing way, just tell people what they already know they want to hear, and fucking put a little fucking editing stank on it, and they will and the people will think it's genius. The people will think it's genius because they're being validated. They'll think you're a fucking prophet because... Oh my God! Oh, that's for fuck's sake! Why'd you have to bring up Captain Christian? I'm already fucking angry enough already.
Yeah.
I hate his success. I'm angry how successful he is.
Well, okay, so my whole time on the internet over the past many years, has been discovering different practices, different disciplines, different mediums, right? So around the mid 2000s, that's when I sort of discover the idea of reviews as this thing. Like I see a review and I'm like, wow, you're looking at a piece of work and then you're talking about it and summarizing it, and that concept alone fascinated me for a number of years, right? Then slowly over the course of time, I start to understand this idea of analysis as distinct from a review, which is a critical thought exercise. So finally, for the first time in a number of years, I was revitalized in a new practice, a new technique, a new skill to try to develop. And that was like 5 years ago now. It would have been like 2012 when I first got introduced to this idea of analysis as distinct from reviews. And I feel like once you basically dwell and meditate on Mr. B-Tongue for like a straight 6 months, as I once did, you've basically hit you've hit critical mass with critical thought. And so from then, what I've been pursuing since then is just people who have different life experiences and different banks of information to go to, which is what has made Digi's content still pretty valuable, is by having this wealth of shit that he's watched. But then recently I was walking around the streets of Atlanta with Digi, and some old commenter of his, who I believe has seen more anime than he does, than he ever has, just shitting on all of Digi's opinions constantly by inciting, just like every single time he wanted to justify any opinion, he just name drops like 17 old robot shows to back up his argument. And I'm like, this guy needs to make videos. This guy has a totally different worldview. And me and Digi are both like, dude, please make videos. And he's like, I don't want to make videos. That would be a waste of life. And I'm like, what?
This guy fucking knows. That guy knows exactly what's up. That guy, I'm way on board with that guy.
I think he does.
I'm gonna date that boy.
We both looked at each other, me and Digi, and we were like, wait, there's something you could do with your life other than make analysis videos?
Yeah.
So I've been in a weirdly unique position with analysis in that I've gotten to be on the receiving end of producing it without having to actually write any of it, which is sort of the easiest possible way. So, and I still get the satisfaction of transmitting analytical ideas because I kind of have to reinterpret them in order to create a visual of it. Right. But without having to actually go sit on a rock for 5 days as Digi does to come up with ideas. Because coming up with ideas is fucking impossible.
Davu, I think last month you made a video that has stuck with me, and I've been thinking about it a lot, called YouTube is Stomach Acid, I think is what you called it.
Yeah.
And it's very relevant to what we're saying, because I think your main idea there was that on YouTube, there aren't really any original things. Nobody's really making original content. They're just talking about other content that already exists. And that's a problem with reviews and analysis.
Dude, guys, what if Mario was racist? Just imagine.
Okay.
Just imagine.
Right.
Several levels below analytical critique, there is game theory, which is what you're talking about there.
Well, yeah.
I don't know. I think there's something to the idea of presenting an alternate interpreration.
Right.
That can be food for thought.
I suppose that's true.
Well, no,
I don't think racist Mario was the one, though.
Maybe not.
Ben, isn't that what Nate did in his newest video that you were
I don't think it is. I feel like what was explained in that video is all explicit to the text of Galco-chan. And here's I don't know. Here's the feeling that I got watching that video, and it's a feeling that I've had with lots of other videos. Is that what's good about that video is that it just like I don't know, it just takes what's good about Galco-chan and just like kind of packages all the like the positive message or whatever and like delivers it in this kind of nugget without like without earning it like they had to earn it by making the fucking show in the first place.
Oh man,
know?
that reminds me of
I know what you mean.
Digi's video. He has a vlog from like I think 2 years ago where he's comparing analysis to vaporwave, where you literally just take exactly what you're basing yourself off of and then just slow it down and then loop it, you know, and then add the Windows 95 startup sound effect. You know,
I will happily admit that my favorite thing about that video by far. I like that it is spreading awareness about Galco-chan, which is a show I really like.
That's good. I would feel better if I thought that like people were gonna watch that video and be like, "Hey, sounds like a cool show that I'll like," and then go watch it. But
Hey,
I don't.
you know,
but I don't
a bunch
get
of
that.
people did. I got a bunch of people saying that stuff.
I'm sure
So
some
that's
people
how
will,
just
but
wish
I
it was
get. I
more.
don't. God damn it! I get the feeling that the video is appreciated on its own merits, and here I fucking go. Here's my point. Like the video's merits are not its own; they're merits of the show.
I will happily admit that my favorite thing about that video, which is what I was saying before, is that I got to recreate the final pointing scene from The Breakfast Club, which is the whole point. That's what I wanted to do. That commenter who asked that, yes, you're right. That was my goal, and I did it.
Yeah,
that's
I know you were like sending me like footage and screenshots and asking me about like I know you were really putting effort into replicating it.
Can I just take this moment to tell the tale since the topic has come up? I worked for literally weeks to get that shot right because I work alone because I have no friends and I had to set up the camera by myself. I had to figure out the right camera placement. Turns out it's got to be really low to the ground, and even mine wasn't low enough.
and your viewfinder doesn't flip around either.
And my viewfinder does not flip around, so I had to do takes, and I couldn't even review the footage because the resolution is too bad. I can't tell if it's in focus or not. I had to do my takes, go
Garbage.
home, and review the footage, find out if I focused right, and then the sun had to be in the right position. Oh, it was a big thing. It took me 4 separate trips to that fucking field,
So, Ben-
in addition to scouting around 4 locations at which to film it. This was a big thing. But
Ben-
done.
Dabu.
All done.
I have a
worked
way to
hard.
phrase I think what you're getting at, and I think I feel exactly the same way, is that
Okay.
analysis videos often serve as a cheat to get the themes and morals of a story without having to consume the actual work. It's like reading
Yeah.
Cliff Notes, and it gives you the sensation of watching these experiences, but removing like the nutrition of them. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
I know-
like the moment where this finally started to sink in for me was when I saw fucking reaction videos on Crunchyroll. Like Crunchyroll on its front page, where it has those little flip through the main featured articles thing, or main featured shows. Half of them are episodes, you know, like watch fucking Super Whale God Know Everything Buddy, episode 5. But then also watch some white blonde woman react to some other episode of something else. I'm like, wait a second, why are reaction videos on the website that's supposed to have the thing that you react to? And it's because no one wants to watch anything anymore. No one wants to have the attention span.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bit of an overstatement.
It's not that there's
but
no
I know
one.
what
It's
you
that
mean.
there's not enough people. It's
I
not
mean,
that
I
there's
know,
no one. It's
I
that
know
there's not
that there's
enough.
people. I know that there's people that watch an analysis video of a show, will digest it, feel that they have like understood the show, and then not watch it because I do that all the time, and I don't like that about myself. But I can't fucking go watch.
It's just
everything.
a damn shame that YouTube gets so many more views because it's YouTube and it's so easy to watch. Whereas like actual art takes more time and patience. And I feel like if all the analysis in the universe just disappeared forever and was disallowed from returning, then, you know, a bunch of people would just take more time out of their day to find stuff.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. Well, let me ask you this, and I'm serious about this.
Nate, I'm sorry to beat up on you. I don't want it to come across as too mean-spirited.
No, I don't feel like you're being that way.
Yeah, I think it's really, Ben, it was distasteful that you would be so aggressive towards another PCP member and always talk shit about them. I don't know why you would do that.
It was unforgivable, and I will pitch myself off of the
You
nearest
should say
bridge.
sorry.
So you're talking about like distilling down.
No, I
the
won't. I
essence of
won't
a show.
apologize. I'll just kill myself.
That's fine. That's acceptable. So you're talking about distilling like the core, I guess, ideas behind a show, and presenting them in an analysis video, as kind of like cheating to get the nuggety center out and not having to like put in the work to consume the piece of art. But okay, now this is gonna sound a little crazy, but maybe that's better. like it's a more efficient way to consume the idea of, you know, like the work in question. So, and what are you losing that way? What is being lost?
I'm not saying that there's no merit to it at all. It's just cheap. You know, it's just cheap.
I think it's helpful because, like, Devu brought up Cliff Notes. I was an English major in college, and I mean in high school as well. I use Spark Notes for most of my assignments. I don't have time to read all that shit.
Yeah. It's extremely valuable. In the case of videos that I've watched in my life, old, shitty, terrible games are the best example. Like when you I recently watched Aqualung Game Reviews, the Chuck Norris game on Atari 2600. Fascinating mechanics on that thing. Would have been a miserable weekend if I tried to find that out for myself. So, yeah, definitely. If you Cliff Note responsibly, it could do you great.
I guess I think that, like, discussing art is a worthwhile thing to do. I guess. And, like, an analysis video is just, like, a form of discussion of a work of art. And I think that is all fine and dandy. But I do think, I mean, I guess I will say that, like, I don't know, people build their careers and their fucking internet presences around, like, talking about other art, and it's just like it's just fan art, and it just feels like they're just kind of stepping into that other thing's limelight and grabbing as much of a piece of it as they can.
The metaphor that Mumkey was referring to that I came up with, YouTube, is stomach acid. The idea is that all the stuff you watch and read is like food, and then the analysis you watch of it and the discussions you have about it is like digesting it, which is very important, you know, to come to an understanding of what you've consumed. But what I'm concerned about is when people get stuck in a loop of just digesting, and then they become malnutritioned and die. And that's what I'm concerned about on behalf of, like, whenever I see people who are, like, PCP fans and seem to keep up with everyone in the PCP, I'm like, how do you have time for anything else?
Yeah, that's a good point. We put out a lot of shit.
Yeah, so, you know, I feel like a lot of this comes down for me to goals and plans and how they've shifted over time, because I became
let me touch on that PCP thing. Yeah, the PCP is a great example. Like, you know, we have a small but really, like, dedicated kind of, like, cult fan base, and for a lot of them, it's like we're making art. Some of our art is about other art, whatever. That's all fine. But, like, to a lot of them, like the PCP, like the object of interest is the PCP itself. But, like, we're not here, like, you know, like, what we're doing, like, we're trying to make other stuff. But, like, that, I feel like to a lot of people, this is getting into my fucking shit right now.
It's all
like,
related,
to a lot of people, like the stuff that the PCP makes is less important than the PCP itself, and that is, like, a real ugly thing, and it makes me feel bad. It leaves a real bad taste in my mouth.
I haven't been keeping up with anybody's work, including Digi. Like, pretty much the only Digi stuff I consistently watch is the stuff I work on now.
Yeah, I can't follow, like, anyone. I don't know. I'll watch, like, occasional stuff.
Well, just to, I mean, what the PCB is, I mean, and it's kind of been talked about this way the whole time, you know, it's like a bunch of friends talking about stuff, like debating, you know, ideas or whatever. And yeah, I certainly hope that what people would primarily do is, like, discuss the ideas that are presented, but, like, you know, a lot of it is comedy and joking around, and it's only natural that, like, the personalities of the people involved would be a primary focus of what people discuss.
Well, you know, my favorite podcast,
like, it's not a philosophy show specifically, like, where we're like, okay, today we're bringing in, like, this idea, we're going to talk about it specifically. Like, it is a comedy show at its heart.
See, my favorite podcast is The Dick Show, and I love his personality, and I love the personality of Sean and a couple other of his regular guests, and I love that show. But when he talks about the fans and the viewership and, like, the communities that have sprung up around him, it's just like the whole PCP community stuff, but, like, significantly larger. There's the Facebook group and the Reddit group, and there's, like, drama going on within the different groups of the fandom of this show, where the whole concept is just one guy and a couple of friends. And I'm like, I get the impression there's a lot of people for whom their whole life is being fans of that show, whereas it should only be the host's full-time life.
Dustin Sinoa, that is definitely his whole life.
And I just like, I have for me, it's like this. The world is like a giant game of Minecraft, the world of art, right? The media out there, especially after the internet, is infinite resources. You could just find some random niche that is a subset of a subset of a subset of some other niche and spend your entire life dedicating yourself to the study and honing of that tiny little corner of the world, of culture, right? And there are so many stories that you can tell. You basically can weave your own narrative of life about what you experience, right? The favorite one I've heard in a while is Munchie explaining his story with Parkour Dude 91, where it's like, this is an incredible little tiny little weird little story that Munchie happened to be there to witness all of. And he got to relay that to others. And that for me is like a divine, beautiful thing that he experienced. And for me, I feel like I have a responsibility, especially as someone with a microphone that a few people will listen to, just a humble little content creator like myself that people are gonna take some inspiration from, maybe, that I should have an interesting story of like, hey guys, today I went to this random website and discovered this random little thing. I don't like the idea of like just sort of being carried along by the current of like whatever feels convenient to click on from day to day. I don't like it when I hear from people who spend 75% of their time just experiencing what happens to be in their Facebook feed, right? Where they're just carried along by the current, by the tide of wherever things take them, rather than like trying to go out and find their own. You're never going to watch everything. You're never going to consume even the tiniest fraction of anything. And when I feel like people are just stuck in some sort of full-time routine that isn't interesting, I feel sad and offended for them. I feel like they're wasting their life, and I feel like this is a problem.
Man, I agree.
I agree.
I feel that because I've been in that loop before. I've been in that fucking cycle, and it's terrible.
This reminds me of something. Just to go back a little bit to what Ben had said before about I think it was Ben, about people being obsessed and like fixating on the people, and like in the PCP they're more focused on us as opposed to the ideas. As I said, I'm a little bit more excusing of that, but what I hate in general is the focus on like the people on YouTube at large, like the fixation on characters.
Yeah.
What do
you mean?
It's this. Well, it's this idea, right? It's this Eleanor Roosevelt quote that I always think about, that everybody should know. Great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, small minds discuss people. And I feel like YouTube is far too much of small minds discussing people.
Indeed.
And I feel like it's just such a waste of brain power.
That's what YouTube drama is all about. It's just talking about people. And
you
stuff.
know what I don't like about YouTube, I guess, is that I always have it in my mind. I'm always conscious of this hierarchy. Like, I always know that there are people out there with 10 million subscribers who are like affecting more people, and I don't like the way it feels like it feels like this hierarchy, right? One thing I liked at first when I got into YouTube was anytime someone commented, I wish you deserve more subscribers. And I still like those kinds of comments. But I felt a little cheated upon when I started seeing in other people's comment sections who had hundreds of thousands of subs. I'm like, how do you need more subscribers? It's because the people who comment that are subbed to people with 10 million subscribers.
True.
And we're all sort of judged as though we're on like the same plane of existence, whereas for me they're really not. And I feel like old YouTube, as late as 2007, it still felt like a bunch of blogs in a way. It felt more like Blogspot, where when you're on like a blog, when you're on WordPress, you're not conscious of comparing the view counts of this WordPress to the most famous WordPress, PewDiePress, you could say, right? But on YouTube, you're always, because YouTube is so interconnected, YouTube always feels like you're on an intersection, and every 4 directions there's another video, and you always know who the popular guys are. And so it feels like, it feels more like, I think just the fact that the view counts is the most prominently displayed statistic. It always makes you think, oh, but how can it get more popular? And it makes everyone fixated on how to get more popular and more popular, rather than being content with, hey, 125,365 subscribers, I'm done,
And this ties in, of course, to the whole, like the sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Like the bleaching of content on YouTube. Like they're trying to clean up their act, to appeal more to like
YouTube
large
wants to
corporate
encourage it.
donors and
YouTube is encouraging it. YouTube wants the most viewed videos.
It's all pushing things towards this kind of sanitized. That's the word I was looking for. Sanitized, sanitized. Like a kind of content that's sort of further and further away from the kind of like individualized things that you might have seen, back in the day. And there's some advantages to that, like the larger reach that you can get as YouTube gets more and more popular. But there's disadvantages too.
Yeah.
So okay, see the ultimate thing I wanted to say about analysis is I feel like it just depends on different needs and plans I have at different times as years go on. And this is why I was talking about getting out of loops, right? Where it used to be a given that I would watch every video by every analysis channel that I kind of like, right? And now I'm so insistent on getting myself out of that loop that I feel the need to record a whole podcast just to say that that's what I'm going to do, so that I feel accountable to myself to actually do it. And I have been doing a good job. I've barely been watching videos. I've barely been watching Digi's videos. I feel like it's not like I'm done with analysis forevermore. It's just that I've spent enough time. I feel like it was like being a monk out in the mountains and meditating to find my center in regards to the creation of art. I tried to make a video game back in 2014 and 2013, and I failed miserably. And so I've spent like 3 years watching analysis videos, trying to like give it another shot so I can fail slightly less miserably next time. And now that I'm basically doing that, I feel like, okay, I'm basically taking my entire viewership of of extra credits and Mr. B-Tongue and internalizing it, and I'm going to try and use that wisdom as much as possible and make a video game, and then when it's done, I'll see how bad it is, and then whoever is the new cool kid in town, I'll fucking watch his videos and how wrong I was to make the game that way, and then I'll repeat the cycle anew. So that's what this video is, a PSA for everyone, including me, to not just be in training all the time. If you are an artist, I feel like analysis is like training, or it's like finding your center, and you just can't do it 24/7.
Strongly disagree with that sentiment. Because I don't know, like shit tons of people make fucking game and like story analysis and stuff, and like, do you find that it comes that like so much of what they say ends up getting repeated, like so much of what they say is like shared between them, and they all kind of coalesce into sort of this hive mind that all has kind of the same opinions about like what makes good art, what makes good games, or whatever.
That's why you should then stop, and I don't see how that's different from what I said earlier. I don't see how it's like contradictory.
Ben,
well, I don't know.
I
don't think you should listen to anyone about like what your art should be.
I have a question for Devu and Ben, since you guys are more on the negative side of analysis existing as a format. If somebody in the audience wants to make analysis videos, would you give them any advice, or would you say don't do it? Like, is there a right way to do it?
Honestly, unless they had some incredible gimmick that I'd never heard before, I would say don't do it.
I would say don't do it, yeah.
So would you both tell Digi, like, hey, quit your main channel, let's just do Digi After Dark?
No, don't say it. That's my job too.
I'm thinking about that one. I'm thinking real hard.
Ben's not the biggest fan of Digi's main content, as I recall.
I watch Digi's main content. I don't know. It's fine. Whatever.
To be honest, I kind of feel the same way about it. But
if it disappeared, would I cry? No.
Well, I would financially, but like in terms of, this is what it is, right? Analysis, Digi's channel has become for me like a day job, but in a really, really good way, where I get just enough satisfaction out of it to where when I'm done with it, I'm like, man, that was really worth my time. But it's not like I'm discovering all new planes of thought. It's not like I'm like having to radically evolve myself, which is good because it means that it doesn't actually take that much of my time to like think about. I don't have to spend any time meditating trying to figure it out, which leaves me with so much space in between to fulfill my other ideas, which is to make a video game, which takes a whole lot of time. So basically, I'm considering the analysis to be funding my other artistic ambitions, you see. And when it comes to the fact that I'm...
Sure.
So for me, it's worth it. I honestly wonder how much it's becoming like that for Digi too, because he just dropped a rap music video where I'm like, if he like lost everything, and he had to pursue a rap career, he'd probably not have the worst odds at this point because he's pretty close to like professional now. So yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think it's a little. I mean, I think whether or not you can fund yourself on your art is kind of aside from the point of like whether it's worthwhile as art in the first place.
Well, whether or not
of
it's
course, all these YouTubers that are all getting sanitized because that's what gets the clicks. Like, of course, they're all doing it that way because that's what makes the money.
Yeah.
But that's the problem, is that it makes it
Yeah.
all fucking the same and shitty.
I mean, just think about the fact that like all the old animators, nobody makes animations of the level that we used to see because it just doesn't pay anymore. That shit
Yeah.
is gone
It's
by the
so
wayside.
terrible. You know what
a real
really needs
shame.
to happen on
It's a real
YouTube is people. Is that paid content on YouTube needs to become regular, and people need to like get used to the idea that they're gonna drop like 15 cents every time they go on YouTube. That way, animation can come back. That's my theory.
Like,
It should happen.
think I
Well,
am not against. I'm not against the idea of a creator doing what is popular, or I'm not against the idea of someone working in like a format because that's what works like at that time and place. Like I don't think Charles Dickens is a piece of shit because he wrote fucking serialized shit in like newspaper or whatever. Like I don't hold that against him. And like, that format is what worked at the time, and it's the reason why his stories are the way they are and whatever. Like that's all well and good. But I do take issue with the idea of like deliberately making your content, like when you're not doing it because it's what works or because it's what you wanted. It's when you're just making it like everyone else to like fit into this crowd. Like when everyone is doing that, then nobody is any good ever. I don't fucking know.
I like in 100 years, is anyone going to look back at any of this analysis content and be impressed? Is anyone going to give a shit? Have we gained anything?
That's a great question, and I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, not unless it's like somehow relevant to some, like are there any works of like criticism that are like really famous historically?
In
Like,
defense of poesy is pretty up there, but otherwise I can't
actually
think of many.
There are some. The Ghost in the Machine is like a response to Descartes' like theories about Cartesian dualism, and like it's basically an analysis piece on like Descartes. So like that, that's
I guess
similar.
I guess so.
I think what it is, here's another way of, because every time we kind of formulate like what is the problem here, like each one is like equally true and also not true. So here's another reformulation, is that it's sort of a huge simultaneous everyone's getting old and running out of ideas effect, where like you see a dynamic new pop star or new rocker fucking person or some other genre of music you like, then they make 3 albums, and then they make 2 albums that aren't as inspired, and then they put out 1 album that's completely uninspired. This is sort of happening to a bunch of people simultaneously because the whole scene was invented sort of around the early 2010s or so, right? And like I'm looking at Mr. B-Tongue's I'm looking at Mr. B-Tongue's channel right now. His first video is 5 years ago, right? And that video obviously came out about, it was just, he had an idea, he really wanted to explain it so much that it was worth all the pain in the ass of figuring out how to use Windows Movie Maker for him. And back in 2012, that's what basically all of them were for the most part. It was always like, man, I have these ideas I really want to explain, and so I'm going to make these videos to like get my thoughts out there because otherwise it's going to bug the shit out of me. The thing about Mr. B-Tongue is that he's the only one I know who remains exactly that. He only makes a video when it's something he really wants to bitch at people about, and has never started doing it for the sake of justifying itself, which I know is a trap that like Tom fell into immediately with the pony analysis thing, where he dropped a couple that he cared about, and now he's like, oh, well, now I need the money, so I'm going to force myself to care about it. It's the same as, a band's first sellout album.
Yeah,
where they're just doing it for the sake of doing it.
That's kind of what gets me when the analysis becomes when it exists just for its own sake, or like when a channel exists for its own sake, or when an artist is just when a fucking YouTuber is just putting out shit and it's just there because you want to see this guy, and it doesn't even matter what he says. I really hate like the whole idea of like a cult of personality that just exists for its own sake, and that's why I've been really resistant to the Dick Show. And even though I liked him on Biggest Problem, I don't want to fucking watch the Dick Show because I don't want to tune in every week to hear a commercial for how cool Dick is.
That's exactly how I felt too, even though I haven't watched all of Biggest Problem. It just sounded like that to me. But there is good news. I have the solution to this problem.
What?
And I don't have the materials on hand just yet. But the solution to all this shit you're talking about is post-scarcity. Because once nobody needs to make any money, like, do you think that fucking God, I don't know. Whoever. Do you think anyone is gonna like make a shitty YouTube channel where they review something that once they're bored with it, if like
Honestly,
they don't need money anymore?
Yes, because people, if there's no money, people would just do it for the popularity.
Yeah, they'll crave the attention.
I guess, but no one will. Okay.
I think post scarcity we'll get lots of like suicide.
Let me work out the
YouTube.
kinks on that.
People will just like upload. There'll be mass suicide, and people will just upload it onto YouTube, and YouTube won't even take it down because death doesn't scare anyone
Hey, you know
anymore.
what? If there's mass suicide at that point, that's great because the only people left will be the people strong enough to survive in that kind of environment, and they will breed the superior race. I can't wait for that to happen.
Yup. All
Looking
right,
forward
well,
to it.
I guess that's basically the end of that point. This is a mini episode after all, so we should end
Yeah.
at 42 minutes. Yes?
How?
Can I make one last point before we end?
Absolutely.
All right.
Okay, and it was just you guys, you Devu, were saying something about like you were talking about music, for example, and like something about them being like a band makes an album and it's inspired, and then they make
Right.
another album and it's inspired, and then they make another one and it's not inspired. What I wanted to ask about is like, what do you mean by inspired? Like, what is the utility of an inspired album versus a non-inspired one? What's the difference there?
It's better.
Why is it better?
Well, it depends on the bands. But like
Just
even
think of anyone,
even with
any example you want.
Even with bands where a lot of their albums, or even if almost all their albums are good. I mean, like, okay, Steely Dan's the first example I think of because I've listened to all their albums a bunch of times.
Well, they're a bad example if they're all good.
Well, the thing is that the first album I do enjoy slightly differently because each song like feels more unique from every other song in that particular track listing, whereas all their other albums, many of which I might even like more than the first one, it feels more like they're like this cohesive thing.
Okay, well, hang on. I understand what you're saying, and that's perfectly fine. But that's not really what I wanted to ask about. What I'm sort of asking at is like, what is the purpose of a band that makes a good album? Like, what is the world gained? Is that,
Having
like,
good music to listen to.
Yeah.
What does that do for us?
The music is the point.
Yeah.
So like people listen to it and enjoy it, and then what? They live
know,
their life
that's
better.
it.
Is that it?
No, they just enjoy
Okay.
it. That's all.
Nate, this is
Okay.
what you're saying is this line of reasoning is reductionism by making it too big of scale. Like you're,
I don't know. I mean, I think
this is-
Nate might have a good point. What if people just enjoy hearing their opinions regurgitated in an analysis? Isn't that as
Yeah,
valuable as a good album of music?
That's kind of the comparison I wanted to make.
Oh no, God.
Yeah. I
I mean, Ben,
shit.
people can like things that you don't like. Is that the
No,
point?
no, I'm saying oh no because I don't think I can argue against that point. Like,
I finally
yeah,
won one of
If you
these.
concede
Like,
that
there's
music is
no-
valuable because it makes people happy, I think you also have to concede that analysis that makes people happy is equally
God.
valuable.
no. Oh no.
Unless you're like me and you don't see value in music and you think the only purpose of that should be to educate people on better ways to improve human society.
Well,
and that's
you know
the
what?
only
Okay, here.
objective value.
We're here.
I do have an analogy, a
Ben
parallel
loses.
to.
Yeah, I just lost. There's
I need a
there's
Porky Pig that
You
says,
can't fucking argue. You can't
"That's all,
argue against
folks."
fun.
Okay,
You
I'm
can't
thinking-
argue against what do people like. Now it just comes down to I like it and you don't.
Yeah.
But I really don't like it though.
Well, we should defer to Ben on this matter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's my parallel. I think about
Okay.
what is the most, like derivative analysis, and I think, well, what's the most like derivative music that I like and why? That would be a future funk. You can just put on a whole playlist. It doesn't really matter which. It's all the same, but I like it always. Entirely because it's good to jack off while playing in the background. So the
Okay,
question is, who can I jack off while it plays in the background? Monkey
I jack
Jones.
off?
So there you go. That's the
What?
ultimate answer.
I don't actually.
I think I missed
All right,
something.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, let's end this so
Alright.
I can go pee.
Is-
That sounds good.
Is there anything else? Is there anything else to say?
That is
on
all
this
to say.
subject?
I'm good. I'm good.
I feel like we've accomplished nothing here.
Yeah.
Of course we did. There was no hope.
I don't
There
know.
was
I
never no
honestly
hope.
think there's
Yeah,
going to be
you're
a lot
right.
of people. My goal is that there are some people, some TPC viewers, to whom that exact armchair diagnosis I came up with completely applies to them, and that this will
Which
be something
one?
they haven't thought of. The whole being stuck in a loop of just watching analysis
yeah.
I
and
have
never
seen
going
yeah.
out there.
people talking about how they used to like, even it's been around like a year, but they used to love the PCP, but they feel kind of done with it. Like they've gotten out of it all that they're going to, and I think
Yeah.
that's kind of similar to what
That's
you're
like
talking
half
about.
the members right now.
Are you talking about the members or are you talking about the audience?
I'm talking about the audience. I'm talking about the audience here, but members too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I
Okay.
think
Me, though.
I think
There's money to be
sometimes
gotten.
these podcasts kind of seem formatted like we're trying to win, but that's not it. Like we're not trying to find the solution. I think we just had a discussion, and hopefully we generate more discussion from the audience in the comments. We're not here to find the answer, so I think this was a worthwhile podcast.
The goal is don't get bored. Don't get bored. That is the goal.
Sure.
That's the goal
That's
of all
our
of life.
goal.
But
And
why?
that's your goal,
But
viewer.
Why not get bored? But why not get bored?
No.
Okay,
What's
I'm
the
done.
what's the purpose
okay.
of what, Nate? This is Nate colon. What's the purpose of boredom? Starfleet, like everything else.
Starfleet. Starfleet.
It all comes back to
Androids.
Starfleet.
Will there be
It
any
does.
boredom post
All
scarcity?
roads lead to Starfleet.
Yeah.
There
Yes.
will be no boredom.
There will be
post-scarcity.
nothing.
We
There will
gotta
be
get
nothing
there,
but
folks.
boredom post scarcity.
That's what you think.
half the post scarcity stories
No,
are like. after
humanity
the-
will change. Humanity will change and adapt. Okay, we'll get
For
there.
the
We'll get there another
PCP
day.
Mini, I've been Mumkey Jones.
Ben Sane.
Best guy ever, Nate.
Davoo out. We're
Goodbye.
goodbye.
Peace.
So long.
Bye.